And the world keeps churning on. Like I've got questions today, lots of questions around other things, like when did report card access open and all those other things that are happening, right? Like, so, we have these moments that take a lot of our energy, but like, in the background, we're still keeping things going in lots of different ways.
Mhm.
It's great.
Yeah, I had someone ask today about that will be coming off of their LTO. So wondering about next steps of what they do to prepare for the next teacher. So it's I guess a nice wake up that this isn't the end all be all this week of
Yeah,
going virtual, and life goes on, and that's okay.
that's right. Absolutely. And so the answer right now for report card access is that Aspen is getting an update in the background on the weekend. So it'll be sometime after that. And so we have to wait and see how that goes before that happens. And so the other part that I think would be a great question to ask the virtual school teachers is, what is or maybe even a prediction, what's the average number of screens that a virtual school teacher has around them at any given time? Because I get teased a lot for having a lot of screens around me, and I think right now I'm at 4, which is pretty low because sometimes I have a few more. But like when you count your phones or iPads,
Mhm.
I'm curious what that would be.
It's, yeah. In today at school, I had 2 laptops, an iPad, and then I had my phone when I had to copy and paste the link into the chat so that the ECE and I could hear the music still and be a part of it a little bit. So I had 4 at one time today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of them have a lot as well. Or a lot of them that are working from home use a TV as their secondary monitor. So they have like a massive one as well. I've
Gianna
heard
said 3. Hey, Gianna?
At least
At least 3.
4 to 5. Yeah.
Some people are even bringing in their own devices, right? And so we're seeing a lot of different things happening, a lot of different plays at work, right, with the different devices. And
What's the high water mark? Like, okay, so if we're at least 3, we got Wheeler there, 4 or 5.
Average.
Yeah, where is that? Oh, that's Sari. There's Sari. So like average, I'm curious, what's a high watermark? How many are the most screens you use at a time?
Well, it should be like a question that goes out and see what you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
What do
another
you
screen.
win if you get them? That's, I know, from my husband's work. When he started working from home in March, he has one that has a double monitor set up. So he has like a base, and then it has both. And then he has his laptop, and he brought that home. And I'm like, oh, how do you manage all of those things? And then I started virtually teaching, and I'm like, oh, where can I get me one of those? Kind of interesting. How about you, Laura? You said you have 4 to 5 going, and I see Val's coming in here now too. How many devices are you guys using?
Yeah, 4 to 5 every day. I have my dual monitor, my laptop, my other laptop, my phone, and my iPad. Just cycling through all day, every day.
That's awesome.
And so do you have a purpose for each one? Does each one have its own job?
Yep, so my monitor and my laptop are connected so that I can see all of my students on my Google Meet while still presenting my screen and switching through the many tabs you have open at any given moment. My phone is mostly for being able to check the live updates on Seesaw for parents that aren't sending messages through the chat box on the Google Meet, because I'm grade 1, so parents are doing a lot of that. My laptop has everything signed in as a student, whereas my MacBook has everything signed in as a teacher. So when I present the screen to them, they see what it looks like for them because I'm signed in as a student. But when I flip over to my other laptop, I'm signed in as a teacher, so I can be assigning everything and still chatting and providing all that feedback. And then my iPad that I can connect and do like Jamboards that are not me trying to write with a mouse. So all the things which I knew how to do none of in September. So here we are.
That's awesome. I mean, all of the learning that you've done just in September is just incredible, eh?
It's
And
a
Val,
little scary when you think about it. I just don't like to think about it.
Yeah. And how about you, Val?
All right, I'm so used to Google Meet now. Zoom is so, it's fine. Sorry, I missed the beginning of the meet because I was in a different Google Meet link than this one. So where are we at?
Sorry, we're just asking about devices. So Ben was wondering for virtual teachers how many they typically are using, and we're wondering what the how like the most that somebody uses and how that
Right,
works.
yeah, so I'm using a desktop, a laptop, an iPad, and a cell phone. Yeah, so all for the same reasons as Laura, because it's hard. I don't know if you're finding, Nicole, are you new to virtual teaching this week? Yes, okay. So what you find when you're presenting is that you can't see your students. So it's really hard to ask questions and get that engagement piece when you're on the presenting screen. So I have one computer for presenting and one computer to be able to see my class to see who's raising their hand. But have you been finding that using the raise hand, the digital raise hand button, have you been using that at all this week?
You have it. Like not all of them have it, but some have been trying. I have kindergarten, so.
Okay, yeah, so what I typically do with that is when we're doing like seat work, I'll have them all put their raise hand button up while they're working, and then they put their raise hand button down when they're done, so that I know when it's good to move on. So I use it more as like a I'm still thinking piece rather than I have a question piece. That way I'm not moving on to the next slide before students are finished. So that might be something, if you have more kids that have access to it, that you can use for that.
That's a lot easier than trying to say, let us know in the chat, and keeping track of the chat when you visually can just all see their hand up or down, right?
Yes, yeah, so
I like that.
that's been really helpful. And then also using hand signals during your math talks. So like, this means I'm still thinking, or like, I have the same idea, I solved it the same way, or I solved it a different way. Just eliminates that lag between like, oh, I'm muting, oh, I'm unmuting. It just makes a math talk or a conversation piece go a little bit quicker if you can have some hand signals.
Yeah.
But those are just some things that I've been finding, because yeah, that unmute situation gets really frustrating because it just makes conversation that already takes long in primary longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you really kind of blew my mind when you used that piece of having everyone have their or have their hand up when they're thinking and down. So I had the opportunity to pop into Val's room when she was doing some number talk stuff a couple weeks ago. And like you did that, and I just felt a moment of like I never thought to use it like that. And it was so amazing. And I love these opportunities that we get to share these types of things that I wouldn't have ever thought to do that. And I would use that all the time now in that way if I were virtually teaching now. So I think that was an awesome tidbit that you figured out.
Cool.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jana had said that she thinks that the average is 3 for devices. So we'll maybe have to put that out at some point and see. What did you find, Sari? How is that going for you at home?
Right now I'm using 3 devices as well. So, but I'm thinking about a 4th, like just to, a second laptop would be easier for some things than using the iPad for that, like as far as seeing the kids when sharing the screen and things like that. So, but yeah, when I'm looking away, I'm just jotting down your ideas for jotting some notes too at the same time. So yeah. For
sure, that's awesome. And
I just had an issue today with Jamboard on the Meet, but I don't know if it's something I did. It was fine last night, but just getting the pen and the laser, like, it's like they were not, I don't know, hidden on me. I don't know what I was doing, and I couldn't see, like, it's like I needed a scroll bar for them, but I'll need to play with that unless anybody's had that happen. And no.
Have you had that, Laura or Val?
Something I did. Like I said, it worked fine late last night, but I'll play with it and see. But happened today to not work when I wanted, but I just put Post-it notes on my hundreds chart instead of the pen, and did the best I could.
That works. That's a good workaround.
Well, on the fly, right? I had to change things up on the fly. So anyway.
Yeah, and unfortunately that does seem to happen where you have your best laid plans and then the technology sometimes doesn't quite cooperate.
Yeah, I'm thinking I did something with the technology for it not to cooperate, but I don't really understand what, because once you guys, told me all about that yesterday and I made my own, but anyway, all is well otherwise. Thank you.
That's good that that worked out otherwise. I was just going to say too that it probably sounds funny to think of like people using so many different devices for so many things. Like I know if someone told me in September, like you'll be able to use like 3 devices or more at a time, I'd be like, there's no way I can keep track of all that. But once you like, they each have a home of what they're on. It kind of it's funny how it just works. Like, hey, ladies, for you. Awesome.
I actually had one of my grade ones today say that she gave her mom a tutorial last night because mom's now working from home. And so we use I have like my picture cards for them. And she made her mom some picture cards so that mom could tell her grade 5 students when they shouldn't be unmuted. So I thought that was cute. The 6-year-old has become the master in that household.
And it's funny how a lot of times that happens with them too, how quickly they pick up on things. I had created an activity and I thought that I was brilliant and sent it to the kids with like hidden words and they had to use a magnifying glass to find them. And it took I had to watch a video how to do it and I had to go step by step. And then like not long after I assigned it, a student sent it back his tutorial of like, you're not that smart. This is how you do it, Mrs. Steele. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like they're so quick to figure that out, eh? Do you guys, you have that too with different things they're figuring out how to do?
Yeah, when you can just ask the kids, right? How do I do this? They know. Even planning, right? When I have 3 devices when I'm planning because I like the ease of being able to type quick on my laptop. But then I go to my iPad because I think it's quicker to add images and like little emojis and stuff like that. And then I have my phone because I'm looking up other stuff on there or airdropping from my phone to my iPad or something, right? So.
Awesome. So I was wondering too, Sarah, if you would like to see some schedules. I had asked Val and Laura about sharing like their schedules and what they do to through the day. Would that be useful?
Tanya, do you want to do the land acknowledgement before we
sure.
get into the content?
Perfect. Thank you. I get distracted. Oops, that's, how do I, oh, there we go. Oh, how does that still there? Trying to get used to Zoom as well is interesting. There we go. Okay, back to the beginning. Sorry, everyone.
One back.
There we go.
There. Okay, so we just like to acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered virtually today is part of the Odawa, Chippewa, Potawatomi, and Delaware Nations. And this is just a picture of the St. Clair River and the trail that runs along it. And we walk it regularly or go for runs. And I know my daughter and I, she always likes to pick up cigarette butts as we're going along it. So that's kind of her thing that she started doing. So we're always picking up cigarette butts along the trail as we walk along it. Just one thing I wanted to say too, that since we've been doing ours virtually, we have been asking our students to send us a picture of them enjoying nature in some way outdoors. So that now this has become our land acknowledgement. And so I have talked to the parents and I'll say, okay, would your child be willing, do you think, to come on and just explain their picture? And they come on for just a quick second and explain their picture. And so it just makes the land acknowledgement a little more meaningful and connect to their lives and them become a part of it as well. So that's just something new that we started with them.
And I really love that because it makes it not such a presentation of trying to remember exactly what to say and how to say it, but it connects to what it actually means to you, which makes it so much more meaningful, I think, which is awesome. Thank you, Nicole. So does someone, Laura or Val, would one of you want to share kind of what you do in a day? Should you like rock, paper, scissors to decide?
You want to go or you want me to go, Laura?
I'm trying to figure out how to share on Zoom
want-
because I don't know how to do anything on Zoom.
Yeah, I think it's a screen share screen
At the
button.
bottom.
Oh, it's green. They even
It's
made a
green.
different color for you.
All right, so I'll just share. Oh, this is nice. I can see us and what I'm presenting. Okay, so here is, I have just like a 2-page Daybook here because I'm still team paper. So I still write everything down and print it off and photocopy it because I like my Daybook on paper. But basically my days are just, we in the virtual school, we have 3 80-minute blocks, which I think is really great. I know my daughter's home, she's at Indian Creek in grade 1. And the schedule that they have at Indian Creek has been really wonky. So what I've been finding is that like short chunks, and then we do like a 20-minute break, 80, 40, and then 80, and then it's the end of the day. So I do a morning meeting, which is basically just like a slide deck of different like language and math activities that I can extend to challenge my higher group, but it'll also meet my low group. And then on Mondays we do spelling, and we do a reading choice board every day. So I post a reading choice board on Mondays, and then it's kind of, they go through it the whole week with that. And I don't know if you guys have found that draft button on Seesaw, that orange draft button, and then that'll allow them to go with the same activity all week. So they just complete 1 or 2 choices every day for the week. And when they're doing choice board, that allows me to meet with a small reading group. So if we extend longer than this Friday, I wouldn't suggest tackling this at all just for 4 days. But if we extend longer, looking into the Google extension, the breakout rooms extension would be something that I would suggest for small group work. But if we're only here till Friday, I would not. I wouldn't tackle that. And then yeah, just 20 minutes of DPA every day or gym. And then math at the end of the day, just because I have French here, but math definitely works better in middle block on days that I don't have prep in the morning. So that's my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then my Thursday, Friday is here. Did you see that? So yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. I always do language in the morning as much as possible, just because I find that that's what I did in my regular classroom. But if you guys want, I can send that your way if you are looking for something kind of similar. But yeah, that is mine.
That's awesome. Thank you, Val. And what do you find for DPA that you do with them? Like, do you do that as the chunk, or do you kind of put that throughout the day?
I do it as a 20-minute chunk usually, and it's splattered throughout the day too, just to get them moving. But I will do a 20-minute chunk every day. We do things like Go Noodle and Cosmic Kids Yoga. They also really like the deck of cards games, like where you get a deck of cards and then you apply a different workout to each suit. So like hearts is jumping jacks. So if I pull a 10 of hearts, I have to do 10 jumping jacks. Stuff like that they really like. I've heard some people do Uno decks for fitness with Uno cards. But yeah, it's typically what we keep it to. I've tried doing getting them outside and having them do like obstacle courses and take a video of that. That's always fun, but not as equitable as the online stuff. I found it really hard transitioning, like trying to get them off screen a lot. And there was a lot of parent pushback actually from trying to get them off screens because it required a lot of parent interaction. And not a lot of parents were available to do that or wanting to do that. So that made it really difficult. So I've kind of moved away from that piece just because it wasn't as equitable.
And that's a good point too, because if we have students that are in apartment buildings and things, it makes it really hard for them to get outside, or younger siblings that are sleeping and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing to kind of think, to be cognizant of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just too bad because it's frustrating because you want to get them off screens. You're like, oh, but unfortunately it turns into a lot of on-screen babysitting sometimes, but.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Laura, did you want to share kind of what you do?
Sure, let me see if I can figure out how to share with you. Oh, all right, I think we got this. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of, I post every night to Seesaw, I post a schedule and our small group timetable and a checklist so that parents have a heads up. And it stays pretty consistent. Mondays always look like Mondays, Tuesdays like Tuesdays. So they pretty much know it's coming. But this week was a little different because our language got switched to the morning. We're doing some new reading strategies, so I have to introduce those. So our language block in the morning is going pretty long. But I typically have math in the morning. So we'll come on and do our morning meeting and then we jump right into math. I have a lot of, not a lot, but a handful of students that are synchronous exempt in the afternoon. So I don't love to put math in the afternoon just because then they miss that lesson. So this week is a little different. So I post this for all of them to see. They can see those timelines and then they know it's color coded whether or not they have to be on a meet or if they are off doing an assignment. And then during our middle block, every day we have small groups. So like I post what that looks like. And so I see all of my kids every day for a small group. So I have them, this would be our Monday small groups when I would see them. And then they're color coded for me based off of how they work into other small groups so that their group color and name stays the same for Seesaw activities. And they know that's all labeled for them. So they know whatever they're doing is always a watermelon activity. They're always doing the raindrop activity. And then I post a checklist for them so they know what work they have to do. So these are the things we do every day. Like they do a reading response, they do sight words, they do number of the week, and they read every day. So those don't change. And then the two things that match either our science or our math activity, I've put on there for them so that parents know what has to be done. And then when we're doing that schedule, kind of like what it looks like is we come in and we all start together. And then like for our math this afternoon, we started together, we did our lesson, and then we applied it. They did a little bit with me, and then I gave them the choice. They can go off and work on the activity on Seesaw. They can stay on with me and work on the activity on Seesaw, or they can be listening to me walk through the activity on Seesaw. So there's kind of those three levels if they just want to be listening in the background, or if they want active application of how do we do this math lesson. So that's kind of what I do there. And then everything for us, we've created a Google site. Can you see that? Sorry. Quote of the whole year is, can you see my screen? And please mute yourself. So we have our Google site where everything is located. So students know that their links for learning, that's where they find everything they need to get anywhere. So they have our Google Meet link, our Seesaw link, libraries, they have all of the links to any app we're using, as well as any passwords to get in. They have math tools, all the different coding stuff we've done, any classroom books we've done. And then I have a section on there for parents that just kind of walks them through. So again, like kind of mirroring what Val was saying would be not to worry so much about that if it's just now, but I found that to be a really good landing board for them. If it does go longer for you than a week, or as something to potentially set up in the classroom so that if you do get switched to virtual again, when you weren't maybe expecting it, that they have all of that easily accessible at home. Because I know that was a tricky part in September, was organizing passwords and logins for everything for parents. So that's kind of what we found to help combat that.
Awesome. That is so organized, and I'm sure that the
Very organized.
parents really appreciate knowing exactly where to go to get all of that, that it's not lost somewhere.
And then like I see them each for 20-minute chunk in the middle block. So I found that really helped refresh them to be on in the morning and on at the end. And then the rest of the time they can be on and interacting with me. I have a small group, but they have that checklist of things they're completing. But that's kind of open-ended for parents because that time frame doesn't always work. So they really have anytime. That's why I posted the night before. Anytime throughout the day they can be working on it. So it might be once that parent is finished with their work for the day, they have time to assist their child with whatever activity they struggled with. They can do that later. It doesn't have to be tied directly to a time schedule, because that was an issue for a lot of families trying to balance multiple students doing virtual at the same time. And how do I assist? So we're trying.
And I think that that's a big part of this, is it's a live and learn situation of what works and what might you hear from other people, what might work differently and might work better at different times. It's a lot of learning throughout. Awesome. Another thought that I had was to share some maybe other kind of tips that would be useful. So one thing that kind of came to my mind was pin to screen. Do you know of that one, Sari? Or anyone else that's in? Jen and Sarah, looks like. How to pin to screen from Google Meet.
Pin to screen from Google Meet. I don't think I've tried that. I pinned a screen on Seesaw.
Awesome. And that one's really useful as well. So to pin to screen on Google Meet, and this was probably a discussion that you'll have with students about how to do that, this is something that the students would do, that they would choose like either you speaking, or if you are presenting something on the screen, that if they click on it, whether with a mouse or with an iPad, and you hold on it, and it brings this little kind of icon right here of a push pin. And if they tap that pin, then it makes it bigger on the screen. And so that can be really helpful, because they have shared with us that when someone speaks, it often flips through, right, on Google Meet if you're on an iPad in particular. And so being able to pin to screen makes it stay large or larger on the screen. So if you're presenting something, they can really see that well through the duration of what you're sharing.
And just to piggyback on that, Tanya, I don't know if you guys have downloaded the Google Meet Fix extension. So it's an extension on Google called Google Meet Fix, because the first Google Meet extension that they made doesn't actually work. So Google Meet Fix extension, and then that'll give you a better grid view of how you can see your students as well.
Right. And I think Google does have an option now where you can choose that in the bottom of it, that it's a part of Google. And it makes it a bit larger grid view, because that was definitely a problem when you could only see a couple of kids at one time. So that's an awesome suggestion. And then Nicole had one that she had learned of that I thought we could share. Just I guess too about how to add a Google Chrome extension. Ladies, do you have a number of different Google Chrome extensions that you're using? That we can I'll kind of prompt you on that. They will maybe talk about some of those. I know, Val, you had mentioned the Google Meet or breakout room. So Nicole, do you want to maybe talk about this one, about how to add the Google Chrome extension?
Yeah, does everybody know how to add a Chrome extension like that, Jen or Sarah or Sari?
I've done it before, but not recently, so I'm fine if you go over it.
And I've done it before, and then I only just did it recently, and I think it was that whole, I really don't, like, I've done it before, but I really don't know how to do it. And then someone suggested one today. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. It sounds like a really great extension. And so I did. And then I thought, wow, that took 2 seconds and it was really easy. So all you're going to do, that has a link to Tanya. If you click it, it'll bring you right to it. But all you do is go to the Google Chrome Web Store. And then just up at the top, you search whatever extension it is, and whichever one you want to look at. And today, the one that I was, okay, yeah, someone wants to know that. So go ahead and just show that one. And you can speak to that extension there, Tanya.
Awesome. So there are a number of different kind of cursors that you can use. And I found this to be really helpful because on all of the different screens, would lose my mouse. So you can download a different kind of cursor. And I'm just going to try to check and see custom cursor is the one that I've used. For Chrome. And of course, this is if you are using the Chrome website or browser, that you can click on these and then it will give you a different kind of cursor. So it kind of stands out on your page. And it just kind of makes it easier so that you're not losing this tiny little white pointer on your page. So to do that, you would just choose it and then click add to Chrome, and then it will come on your bar up here of all the different things that you have, and you can change that later if you would like.
And it's just as easy as that. All you do is search it up and press add to Chrome and it's there in 2 seconds. So it's really valuable.
And then so for mine, if I just click on it, I can choose different cursors, and I would just click on it and then it will automatically change my cursor to be that style. So you can do some really fun ones, but I like that it makes it stand out. So it's easier for me to see. It doesn't work on all pages all the times, but for the times that it works, it's really, really useful.
The other one that I was told about today was Google Meet Push to Talk. And what that one is, the purpose of it is just for those frustrating times, and it only works if the students or yourself are working on the keyboard, a laptop or desktop. But what it is you use the space bar to mute and unmute yourself. So it's really, I had it today and it's really handy. Instead of getting your mouse and finding it to mute or unmute yourself, you just hit the space bar and you mute or unmute. So that's something handy if you have some students who are working on a device like that.
And so if you had that other extension that we had talked about before, the breakout rooms, you wouldn't need to have this extension, but it's just kind of a handy one if you want to be able to quickly mute things. And then I did put some additional resources in here as well of some websites or kind of PE suggestions. I think that was something that I had really struggled with, of ways to get the kids moving and resources for that. So I'll share this in the chat box when we're finished. If anyone wants to check out any of those, they're really, really useful. To kind of get that DQPE or that fitness time in every day.
And last night I was going through the Netflix from Melissa Dent, and that has a load of resources in it right at your fingertips. And you can just pull one off if you wanted and post. Well, you would do that, pull one off and post it.
Awesome. And so I guess I'll check the chat box here and see if there are any questions through that. So if anyone, I guess, wants to come off of mute and onto the camera, we can help answer questions that you might have here. I'll start by taking a look at the chat box, but if anyone has any questions other than that, feel free to pop on. So I think the pin, we talked about that to zoom into 1K. Yes, so you might use that to zoom into students as well. Someone on another meet at some point had shared how sometimes the internet can be a little bit wonky, as we know. And so if you pin that student to screen, you can see that student. Typically, that will make it work. So if you find that you are trying to teach from home, everything kind of blacks out and you can't see anyone because of internet issues, and you have a student that's talking or sharing something, if you pin them to screen, typically you'll be able to hear and see them better. Sharing, how to make a mouse visible to kids when you're screen sharing.
That was it.
So yeah, I think that's it. So does anyone have any other questions that we can help anyone with? Any wonderings?
I have a question. I don't I don't know if you can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Thanks. Today I was hoping to maybe call up an Estimystery. It's something that Steve Wyborne does, but he does it through PowerPoint, and I couldn't screen share. I'm assuming because it wasn't a Google product. Is that something you've all experienced before?
Yeah, Laura, go ahead.
So when I do Estimysteries, I have a dual screen set up. So when I do Estimysteries and pull up the PowerPoint, I put that fully on one screen so I can present the slideshow to sharing instead of sharing a tab like you would to share something from YouTube or Chrome or anything. I just click to share my entire screen with them because they don't need sound for that. So I can do the Estimysteries. I just have to share entire screen instead of a tab because it is PowerPoint. But that's the way I found around that.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about that because I've just been sharing my tabs only just because of the sound, but I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, so because they don't need sound for this, you can share your screen and you'll still be able to do it. So for grade 1, when I do that, something I found really helpful is I also pull over like a hundreds chart or a 50s chart or whatever it is that Estimysteries is going to be up to, and then we black out those numbers on that visual for them right in the same screen. He does that in the first Estimystery, I think, of every level. He has like a number line at the bottom and then blacks out the numbers as they become not options.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that continuously. And so if you just pull over a number line onto that same screen, students will be able to see the Estimysteries and your number line or hundreds chart or whatever you're using at the same time because you're sharing your whole screen instead of a tab. So they can see it all.
So if I was sharing the whole screen, because I am not techie at all, this is all brand new, they're not also seeing each other?
I have mine on 2 different screens. So they will see whatever is on your screen. So for me, I have a dual monitor set up. So I have my one
Here.
And then over to the side, I will have them. So I will share my laptop screen so they can see the Estimysteries, but I'm not sharing the screen where they see each other.
Okay.
So that's the only, I don't know how that will work if you have one screen. If you're sharing, it'll just be what's ever up.
Right, because I don't have a dual screen situation, so, okay.
Yeah, so they will still see each other though.
Okay.
If that was your question, like the students will still see each other. It'll still look the same to them on their screen as if you were sharing a tab. It'll still take up that big rectangle part of your meet. If you don't have the dual screen situation, which sometimes my internet can't handle 2 Google Meets, so I'll have to do that. All you have to do is just close in and out or minimize out of your PowerPoint and go back into your Google Meet. So you can still make it work. Just you have to make sure that you don't share your Google Meet screen because then it'll create feedback for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Val, you log into your Google Meet twice?
No. So if I'm on my Google Meet on my laptop and presenting on PowerPoint from the same computer, because sometimes my internet can't keep up with 2 Google Meets, then I'm sharing a my screen to my PowerPoint, then minimizing, and then going back into Google Meet to answer questions. So I can minimize my Google Meet, but it's still running in the background if I'm presenting on PowerPoint. So it can work just on one computer. It's just a lot more clicking in and out.
I never log in twice. So I was just like, I didn't know that people were doing that. I log in once and I can see them and then I present, but that's, never mind.
Oh yeah, I log in on Google Meet on my one and Google Meet on the other.
Oh, I don't do that. Can you tell me what does that do for you? Sorry, I know this is time for all of you to be learning, but now I'm like, what? How do you do that? Why would I choose that option?
It's learn for all. We're good.
How do you present on your one screen without being in the Google Meet?
I'm in the Google Meet. So I log into the Google Meet and then down at the bottom, I just click present and I'm in the Google Meet and they can see my screen and I'm just logged in on one device. Is that not how it works for you?
Oh, I'm on two computers on two Google Meets.
Oh no, so mine's a dual, but it's all one system. It's just connected with HDMI so that I can have.
You are married to Chad, who set you up that your mouse can go from screen to screen. I'm not married to Chad.
Yeah, I can send him over when the lockdown's done.
That makes more sense.
Okay, sorry, I was just like, am I missing something that I should be doing?
I am in two Google Meets. My name is twice in our meet. Yeah.
All right.
So, and I will also have the two screens open, a laptop and my computer. But the only reason I did that is so that I could see what the kids were seeing. I just wanted to be able to see what.
Me too.
And anyway. That is actually Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and then if your sound is playing too or whatnot. I see the benefits of that as well.
It's a problem with the feedback, so you do have to take the laptop that I'm watching the kids' screen on and turn everything off. But I just wanted to make sure it would transfer from one to the other. I can just see if I'm having problems that way. Anyway.
I think it's all
Thank
about
you
finding
for your
ways that
help.
work for us and all the different ways and all the different tools that we have to help us. So that's awesome. Are there any other questions about how or wonderings that you have or problems that you wonder how to overcome? Because the virtual teachers have been there, done that in a lot of ways with finding out what works and maybe what doesn't work. So please feel free if you have some wonderings.
I'm just wondering about my question at the beginning, if I can't figure out that pen that disappeared or the laser on the Jamboard, but if anybody's experienced that, I guess they weren't all on then, but anyway, I'll play with it and then maybe bug you guys if I can't figure it out.
I'm wondering if your screen was zoomed in, like what was,
maybe
you said that it wasn't zoomed in, like you couldn't hit the pen button.
Yeah, it's like pen was
laser
under the arrow, like the back arrow at the top, you know what I mean? It was almost like I needed a scroll bar to scroll down and have access.
So I'm gonna share the screen and see if this is what it looked like for you.
I don't want to take everybody's time though. If it's something that I can just figure out, I just
Hey, if it happens to us one day too, then we'll know.
Often that's how we figure out problem solving. So did it kind of look like this?
Yeah.
Where you just couldn't see it, you knew that it was there?
Yeah, not
so
last night it was fine, but today it did that. So what did I do, Zoom?
So yep, you zoomed in. So right
Oh my goodness.
here and the search bar, just click it back to reset. And then
goodness,
like you
thank
said,
you.
it zooms out. Awesome.
I
That's
don't
what this is
recall
all
doing
about.
that, but I figured I did something. Thank you.
I wouldn't have known how to fix that either. Like, that's a great,
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, how did this work last night? And now it's not working today when I need it. Anyway.
I found today when I used Jamboard, we did our morning message, and then I set up one of them for every one of them, and we do something where they find the letter of the day, because I have kindergarten on the morning chart. So, and I made one of our movable letter monsters to find it too. But then when they all went to use it, wasn't working properly for all of them. So I just put the link in the chat, and then they could go on it after on their own to do. But if I had just kind of jammed up. What's that?
Could your iPads access that link in the chat?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Could the kids that are using iPads access the link in your chat?
No one said that they couldn't, but maybe but I noticed that a whole bunch of them didn't do it. I only had a handful that did, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, so
how
what
you
I
say
found,
that.
yeah, the iPad friends can't click those links in the chats. So if you create it as a Seesaw activity with the Jamboard link, that's a little bit more equitable.
Yeah, so after, because I'm halftime with them, so after I took that Jamboard and I posted it as a link, well, I put it as an activity and posted it as a link.
Yeah.
So that
I found that the hard way. I spent so much time like creating this great pattern block thing and was like, here's the link. And they were like, we can't get to it. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just the iPad. I wish everybody had a Chromebook because the iPads suck for. Yeah. Another trick for iPads too is they can't be in, if they ever come on and say Seesaw isn't allowing them to record their voices, they have to actually exit out of the Google Meet for their voice recording to work in Seesaw. They can't have both open because their microphone is using Google Meet, so it won't let them also use Seesaw.
That's a great tip too.
Yeah, so just have them exit out of the Google Meet before they go onto Seesaw.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great tip too. Yeah, definitely learning the hard way.
We all did. September and October were just a hot mess. I just was like, I don't know what I'm. So, and
that's what I'm doing too. Like any of our videos that were really choppy today, I ended up putting them right into a Seesaw and linked it there so that, you know, so now in the future, I know I'll automatically do that because if we have those issues, then they can just open that up and do it, right?
Yeah. But don't you find that the kids are just so precious? They're like so patient. If that happens in class, they're rangy and upset, but there's something I'm loving watching humans through this process because everybody has just been so gracious with each other. So that's one thing that's really great to see with your students, just seeing how patient and loving they are while you figure it out.
They're doing so well too. We had a show and tell today for our kindergarten kids, and one is showing his monster truck and the other little boy comes off mute and said, "That's cool," and his name, and then he mutes back on. And it was just like already they're knowing to do that, and he's a JK, so they're doing so well.
So cool.
Can I just ask you, Val, about the schedule thing you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Just when you said your daughter's at Indian Creek, I'm not taking it personally, but I'm just wondering what the wonky schedule you're finding just for, I mean, I know you guys shared yours, but just for advice on.
I just find it's a really long day for Savannah. Like we're there, she's not done until 3 o'clock. And we're like virtual school is done at 1:50. So she has 2 1-hour breaks, which I just find is just a lot for her. But I don't know what you guys got from Darlene in terms of, because I know that you guys are getting your full 40 preps, right?
Well, yes and no. So basically for, like we were told 225 minutes, like that's what we're to go with for time, right? So I don't know for sure what class your daughter's in, but I know like Mrs. Butcher and I don't know about Mrs. Konechny, but we've done the hour breaks and then going till 3, just thinking we were kind of advised longer breaks are good. So kind of made that, but I mean, the way I did it earlier in the week, then the prep time, like it's kind of a teacher should have had my kids for 40 minutes, but then that's it. You always have the lunches are, it's at a different time. So, and they're only supposed to be doing up to 75% of their time anyway. So we haven't really been given a lot of direction that I know of, unless people have reached out individually to Darlene, but
yeah.
So we're just trying to like, we figured, okay, they need more of a break, and you're muted right now, but so just for advice for if we go longer or anything. You're still muted, Val.
Sorry. See, if we go longer, my advice would just be to do shorter breaks and get done earlier. So like a 20-minute recess, because really like they're just doing snack. And the way we're figuring it is we don't, as teachers, we don't have duty now. So really in a normal week, we'd be getting 120 and 140 as teachers. So we do a 20-minute break in the morning just to grab a quick snack, use the bathroom, and the kids can move around. And then we do the 40-minute lunch in the afternoon, and we're done by 1:50. And I find that works really good for us, just because that 9 to 12 slot is money slot, right, in terms of learning. And Savannah was offline from 10 till 12 on Monday or on Tuesday. Just because she was done her work, and that's just figuring out scheduling. Like it's nothing against what her teacher's doing. She's doing such a fantastic job. Savannah's loving it. So it is.
Yeah, and I wasn't taken personally. I just kind of advise because you're the experts. So
yeah, if we go longer than a week, I would suggest shortening the day and getting as much done in between that 9 and 12.
Okay. Yeah, I do recall them kind of advising give longer breaks, like from our, and that's what we understood, but
yeah, that's really interesting.
Thinking the kids aren't used to sitting, I mean, and I know we give the stretch breaks and like the DPA, but okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just, I know for Savannah, those hour breaks, she's not moving the whole time, mostly because I have to work. So I'm like, go make yourself a sandwich because I'm still teaching. So you're learning a lot of independent skills. Just make yourself.
Make mom one too. Yeah. Thank you.
I think with that though, it's important to know that when we're talking like we're doing 80 minutes, I'm not just talking at the kids for 80 minutes, right? So like something that I kind of forgot for September, October, and probably for them to take that time and do the work. It's okay to take that time and have them share and show what their work was from yesterday or from the previous time and do all of that. It's not, I was under the impression it was more content, but we all know how to be teachers. So just we just have to remember it's okay that they are doing their independent work while you're still here to answer questions. That counts as synchronous learning. We're doing it together, just like it would be in the classroom. You would be at your desk or in a group doing something. So that makes those longer chunks seem less long when we're not trying to fill it all with content.
And that's also a great time to be able to have small groups and things like that now as well. So not every student is expected to be online that whole duration, but through some parts of that, you might have some students meeting with you or on camera during that time. Awesome. Do we have any other questions or wonderings that we can maybe kind of help work through? Don't see anything else in the chat. So if not, thank you so much for everyone who has come. Any questions that you had, and thank you especially to Laura and Val for sharing all of the wonderful learnings that you've been doing and kind of help to navigate that learning for others. I know I really appreciate that, and I'm sure that they do as well.
I do as well. So thank you very much.
Awesome. So I'll let you go then. Thank you so much.
Thank you
and if
very
you
much.
have any questions, we'll be back tomorrow. And I think tomorrow will be kind of, again, similar to today, where we'll kind of answer questions as they come. And so if you do have any questions over, the evening or night, please feel free to email me. Put my email address in the chat box. So if you have any questions, please feel free to kind of let us know what we can help with for tomorrow.
And let us know how your Jamboard ends up working out too.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. See you
See ya.
later.
Thank you.